Most women don't wake up one morning bald. Hair loss arrives quietly. A little more hair in the brush, a thinner ponytail, and more scalp showing in certain light. And before you realize it, something that once felt natural now feels fragile. For many women, this change brings more than cosmetic concern. It brings confusion, anxiety, and a quiet loss of confidence. You may wonder if it's just aging, genetics, or something you're powerless to change. But here's what most women are never told. Hair loss is rarely about the hair itself. It is often the body whispering, sometimes shouting, that something deeper is out of balance. The body never makes mistakes. It responds to stress, hormones, nutrition, and circulation with remarkable precision. And when the body lacks what it needs, it conserves, and hair is often the first place it lets go. Stay with me, because when you understand why this is happening, you can begin to support your body and your hair naturally again. Hair loss in women is more common than you might think, and for many, it becomes a source of tremendous stress and diminished self-confidence. Unlike men, where baldness often follows a predictable genetic pattern, women experience hair loss differently. It tends to be diffuse, spreading across the scalp rather than in distinct patterns, and it often goes unnoticed in the early stages. The causes are complex and varied, which is why understanding them is so important. Tell me your age and country in the comments so we can support each other through these hidden changes. And stay with me, because the final part of this video reveals the one simple adjustment that helps your body handle this transformation. Before we dive into causes and solutions, let's talk about what normal hair loss actually looks like and understand the phases of hair growth. This foundation will help you recognize when something is truly wrong. Hair loss is one of the most common concerns women face, and while it might seem sudden when you first notice it, the process has usually been happening in your body for months before the visible signs appear. To understand when hair loss is normal versus when it signals a problem, you need to know about the natural cycle of hair growth and how hair follicles work. Every single hair on your body goes through several clearly defined phases, and these cycles aren't synchronized. Different hairs are in different phases at any given time, which is why we never lose all our hair at once. The cycle consists of 3 key phases. The first is called the antigen phase, or the growth phase. This is when your hair is actively growing, and this phase lasts anywhere from 2 to 6 years. The longer your antigen phase, the longer your hair can potentially grow. In a healthy scalp, about 80 to 90% of all your hair is in this phase at any given moment. During the antigen phase, your hair follicle is incredibly metabolically active. The cells in the hair matrix are dividing rapidly. The hair shaft is being formed, and the follicle is deeply rooted in your skin and well supplied with blood. How long your antigen phase lasts depends on several factors, including your genetics, your hormonal health, your nutrition, and the blood circulation to your scalp. When the antigen phase gets shortened, your hair becomes shorter, thinner, and weaker. The second phase is the catagen phase, which is relatively brief, lasting only about 2 to 3 weeks. During this transitional period, your hair stops growing and the follicle begins to shrink and separate from the blood vessel that has been feeding it. This phase is essentially preparation for the follicle to enter its resting state. Only about 1 to 2% of your hair is in this phase at any time. The third phase is the telogen phase, which is the resting and shedding phase. This lasts approximately 2 to 4 months. So to summarize, the first phase lasts 2 to 6 years, the second lasts just a few weeks, and the third lasts 2 to 4 months. Now, many of you wonder what's actually normal when it comes to daily hair loss. This is actually quite simple to understand. It's completely normal to lose 50 to 100 hairs every single day. These hairs are then replaced by new ones growing in. Anything over 100 hairs falling out daily is a warning sign that something might be wrong. We can say that a problem exists when daily loss exceeds 100 hairs, and when your hair becomes visibly thinned, weak, brittle, and lifeless over time. In these cases, the hair growth cycle has been disrupted, most commonly because too many hairs are entering the telogen phase prematurely, while the anagen phase is shortening. So when should you actually worry? Hair loss becomes a real concern when certain signs appear. First, when you can see more of your scalp than before. Second, when you experience sudden loss of hair volume in a short period. Third, when your hair breaks and snaps before it reaches the length it once did. Fourth, when you find much more hair on your pillow, in the shower drain, or on your brush than you used to. Fifth, when your hair is thinning, not just falling out. And sixth, when you notice circular areas without any hair at all. Hair loss that continues for longer than 3 months without any signs of improvement definitely indicates that there's a problem that needs addressing. Now let's talk about the main causes of hair loss in women, starting with hormonal changes. Hormones play an absolutely critical role in regulating hair growth and the hair cycle. Changes in hormonal balance frequently lead to hair loss. During pregnancy and the postpartum period, elevated estrogen levels prolong the anagen phase, which is why pregnant women often have thicker, shinier hair. However, a few weeks to months after giving birth, there's a sudden drop in estrogen. This hormonal crash can cause what's called postpartum telogen alluvium, a condition where a large number of hairs enter the resting phase and fall out. For most women, this loss is temporary and hair returns to normal within 6 to 12 months. However, the intensity of the loss can be QE significant and cause considerable psychological stress, which unfortunately can worsen the condition. One of the biggest reasons women lose their hair is hormonal changes during perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. This marks a major turning point in women's health. During this phase, 2 key hormones, estrogen and progesterone, are significantly reduced. Studies have shown that after menopause, these hormones can fall by as much as 95% compared to premenopausal levels, which is a key factor in hair loss. In women going through menopause and premenopause, hair loss is typically diffuse, primarily affecting the top of the head and scalp, and the hair becomes thinner and more fragile. These hormonal changes can also affect the structure of the hair and follicles themselves, leading to slower growth and increased breakage. Another hormonal problem is polycystic ovary syndrome, an endocrine disorder affecting women of reproductive age. Excess androgen hormones, which are male sex hormones, can cause a male pattern of hair loss, meaning the hair becomes thinner on the scalp, while eyebrows and other body hair may remain unchanged. In addition to hair loss, this syndrome often includes acne, weight gain, irregular menstruation, and insulin resistance. Genetic predisposition is another cause of hair loss that's generally the least influenced by our actions. Just as men often lose hair due to genetic factors, women increasingly experience genetically driven hair loss in our modern era. Next, we need to talk about something very important that you can definitely influence, and that's stress. Stress is one of the most powerful yet most underestimated causes of hair loss in women. Although many people don't associate stress with hair, it directly affects the hormone cortisol and impacts your nervous system, blood vessels, and immunity, all of which are needed for follicles to grow normally. When stress levels remain elevated for extended periods, your body enters a fight or flight state that negatively affects hair growth. Hair follicles become more sensitive, weak, and can completely stop functioning while your body is under stress. How do you recognize that stress is causing your hair loss? Watch for these signs. Hair suddenly falling out 2 to 3 months after a stressful event. thinning hair across your entire scalp, increased scalp sensitivity, hair loss when washing or combing, and changes in sleep quality are signs of hormonal imbalance. It's crucial to understand that significant stress can absolutely cause hair loss. Another critically important factor when thinking about hair loss is poor diet and chronic lack of essential minerals, vitamins, and